welcome to my channel. My name is Eirelyn and today we are going through my 2024 reading stats as well as 2024 book awards. This is going to be something. I originally was going to film this video like recording me writing the book and then do a little voiceover for it. There is so much math that I have to do to figure this out. There is like the amount of hardbacks, the amount of pages, the amount of days I read, but I can fill in the genres, the ratings, the standalones, the types of authors that I read books. There's a lot. I can put in the shortest book, the longest book. I can do most of it, but instead of having to calculate it on a little cue card like I had planned, I can just talk to you guys while I do it. And then we can fill in the book awards with like best books I read, my least favorite books that I read. Kind of very simple. Just having a little chit-chatty video. This is my last video of 2024, which is kind of crazy, kind of exciting at the same time. I'm heavily going to be relying on my story graph to tell me all my information. Story graph, my savior. You don't need to stress. I'm kind of stressing. But before we get into this video, I did want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed this year, and also anybody who watches my videos. Thank you so much for joining my little tiny community of people that likes reading and books. And yeah, thank you. And also, if you are somebody who enjoys reading, I also write my own books. I have self-published 5 books. Yes, 5 books. 2 are standalone murder mysteries, and 3 are a part of a 5-book fantasy series that I'm working on. So if you want to check those out, my link to my website is down below, as well as the link to my book club down below, which I want to try and do more in the new year with that. But you might want to also check out my TikTok and my Instagram. There's talks about TikTok going away in the new year for the US. I don't live in the US. I don't know if that will translate to Canada as well. I don't know. But follow my Instagram, which is Eirelynbird, where I'll post updates about my books, about what I'm reading, and my books, and the book club, and all things books. But yeah, let's get into the reading statistics for this video. The amount of books that I read this year, 55. So let's write that in. Do I have hopes that I can do that again next year? Possibly. I'm still gonna set my reading goal for 25 books though, just because that is an attainable number for me to read. So I don't want to get my hopes up because the circumstances of this year could be very different next year. Storygraph says that my pages read is 22,204. So I'm going to go with that number. I do have different numbers written in my journal here, but I don't want to count that, so. And now here's where the counting starts. I've showed this in previous videos. I colored in this reading tracker right here. Every colored in square, except for the black ones at the bottom, are days that I read this year, which, a little insane that I've read this much. So I'm going to count how many days out of 365 days that I read this year. So I will be back in a second. I will not make you guys watch me count all of this. Okay, so I just counted and the number turned out to be 210 days read this year, which I think that is pretty good, because out of that, I didn't read for 155 days. That doesn't seem so bad. It does not seem so bad, like at all. And I read 55 books out of that 210 days. I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm pretty proud of myself. So now, okay, I don't know what I want, because I'm gonna skip quickest book read and slowest book read, because I just don't know. And that would be a lot, because my average time to finish a book is 6 days, but I don't know where I don't know. So we're just gonna skip that for now. We are going to go to genres. And Storygraph shows that I read a lot of genres. So I'm gonna write in all the genres and then I'll figure out the numbers. So my top genre was fantasy. My second genre was young adult. My third genre was romance. My fourth genre was LGBTQIA+. There we go. My fifth genre was graphic novel, which I didn't think that was a genre, but my sixth genre was science fiction, which that's shocking. Science fiction is followed by middle grade, followed by comics, followed by contemporary, followed by thriller, followed by literary, and finally mystery. The ones that don't get mentioned in the book are manga, horror, health, magical realism, and dystopian. those I think each are just 1 to 2 books in the series. I think I'm gonna have to close my window. My neighbors have come outside. And then I also put in my most read author, which is Rachel Smith, with 6 books from her Lore Olympus series. I have the 7th book. I got it for Christmas, which I plan to be one of my first reads of next year, because that's like a quick read. My reason why I can't do the quickest book read is because I've read each of her books within 1 day. So I don't know if it would come down to timing, if Storygraph would even be able to calculate timing, if it would do like the first quickest book that I read or like the last quickest book. Like, I don't know. I've read so many books within 1 day. The next process that I think I'm gonna do is the ratings. So I rated 0 books 1 star, I rated 0 books 2 stars, I've rated 1 book 3 stars, 17 books 4 stars, and then I've rated 31 books 5 stars, but I've also rated 6 books 4.5 stars. This is where I think the hard part comes in. So I know I haven't read anything on Kindle or audiobook or other, but everything has been read in hardback or paperback. So now I have to count through my little, where I've stored all my books and written everything, what has all been hardback and what has all been paperback. So I'm gonna do that off camera. I am back with my calculations. So 32 of the books I read this year were hardbacks, and then 23 of the books I read this year were paperback. So I'm going to add in, like, there's a little volume section. I'm gonna add DNF so I can have that track somewhere, and I'm gonna put 4, because I DNF'd 4 books this year. I wanna have that tracked. And now we go to diversity, which is female authors, male authors, BIPOC authors, and LGBTQIA+ authors. So, and then there's another section for authors. So I'm going to calculate those also off camera. I've calculated. I've read 29 books by female authors, 6 books by male authors, 5 books by BIPOC authors, and 3 books by LGBTQ+ authors. I think I need to diversify my reading in a bit more in the LGBTQ+ and the BIPOC areas. So if anybody has any recommendations for books that they really enjoy that I could look into reading, I would love recommendations down below. And yeah, so now we're gonna do the shortest and the longest book, which means I have to go and look through my pages that I have written down to find that. So I've found it out. So the shortest book that I read this year was This Winter by Alice Osman, which was 160 pages. And then the longest book I read was The Key House Compendium of the Lock and Key comic series by Joe Hill, and a few others, but it's only listed as Joe Hill on Storygraph, which is a little weird, but it was 975 pages. So, but now I need to calculate how many standalone books I read, how many duologies I read, and how many series I read. So I have read 11 standalone books this year, which really not a lot. I've read 8 duologies, or books that were a part of a duology, and then 16 series. So that's not all the books that are part of a series, but in total I read 16 series, which is a little crazy. So, and now with that complete, because I'm not doing the quickest and slowest books read yet, so I could calculate that on my own. Ow. I could calculate that on my own using my dates and stuff, but that's so much work. That's so much work. That's just a lot. Let us go to the book awards, which is going to be something. So I've made like little tiers on these things. So I think let's start with the worst, and then we'll get to the better. Now, I want to preface something, that the lowest I rated a book this year was 3 stars. So when I say that a lot of these books are the worst, they're just the lowest rankings that I gave, and then when I tiered them against other lowest rankings that I gave, they just ended up being the loser. Let us do this. So in 3rd place, I'm going to be putting Lost Stars Wicked Academia, which is, I'm pretty sure it was a self-published book. I didn't feel like anything really happened in that book, and I'm pretty sure I gave it 4 stars. In 2nd place, I'm going to be putting We All Fall Down, which is a book that I did a reading vlog on, so if you do want to check that out, you will learn as to why this is going in 2nd place. And in 1st place, for my least favorite book of the year, I am putting down All Our Hidden Gifts. And I think a lot of people did generally enjoy this book. My only reasoning is the ending skewed it all for me. I did not like how, because I don't want to spoil it, because if you do want to read it, I won't stop you. I still gave it 4.5 stars, but it just left a sour taste afterwards, where they framed something in the end as something else, and it shouldn't have been framed, it shouldn't have gotten framed like that, because it wasn't that for this character. For the other character, sure, but even still, it wasn't. Like, I just didn't like how it got framed as something it completely wasn't, because it was still the thing that it originally was. But then suddenly it wasn't anymore. And I know that makes no sense. But yeah. So now going on to all of the fun parts, all the happiness. So, the best books. So I have 3. So in third place, I'm going to be putting A Lesson in Vengeance, which I think I read it in May, and I loved that book so much. It was so good, and it deserves to be in the top 3 of my favorite books that I read this year. It was so good. In second place, a book that I just read and just finished, Empire of the Damned. It is the sequel in the Empire of the Vampire series. It was so good, I finished it. I need the 3rd book in the series, like, now. So that comes out next November, so maybe in my Christmas vlogs next year, I'll also be reading that one, because for the past 2 years I've been reading this book in my Christmas vlogs. So, Empire of the Damned is second place. It was so good. It was so good. There are a lot of runners up, though, because The Book of Doors was a really great book this year. Blood and Moonlight, really great book. Five Survive, another amazing book. I also have The Midnight Library, The Lock and Key Compendium, Atlas Complex, A Lesson in Vengeance. But let me write in. Oh, my kitty's at my door. And now, for my top read of the entire year, Little Thieves. I love that book so much. The characters, Vanja. I think his name's Emmerich. Emmerich? Oh gosh, now I gotta check. I think I'm gonna have to put my favorite characters. I think I'm going to take from those books because they're my favorite. In first place, I am gonna put Vanja. Oh, I'm gonna put Vanja and Emmerich. I'm gonna put both of them because I love their dynamics. I'm also gonna put up there in first place Gabriel from Empire of the Damned because I really like him. In second place, I am gonna put Dior from Empire of the Damned because I also really like him. And in third place, I'm gonna put Celine from Empire of the Damned. And now we get into more. Which book made you cry the most? And I know this one because I don't cry at books too often, but I sobbed. And I sobbed for the ending of the Lock and Key Compendium. Like, I was bawling my eyes out. So, I think for made me laugh the most, I'm gonna have to put Painted Devils. Because that one, I was giggling. I was giggling all over the place. Made me the happiest. Ooh, the happiest? Oh gosh, why is that one so tough? No. I'd probably say the Delicious and Dungeon books, because I really like that series and it's just fun vibes the entire time. So I'm gonna put volume 1. No, I might just put Delicious and Dungeon, because it ensued happy vibes. Made me the most angry. Ooh, I'm gonna say We All Fall Down, because that one, or maybe one of the books I DNF, because those made me mad, to the point of DNFing, right? So, oh. Yeah, no. A book called Something More angered me. Which book did you learn the most from? Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. The Midnight Library. That was really good. That one made me cry as well. Not the most, but it did make me cry. Most disappointing read. We All Fall Down. Most challenging read? Probably The Midnight Library. And then, there's memorable quote. I could not tell you a single thing. I could write my own, because I read my own book this year. What's the quote? It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, What Happened to You Does Not Make You Weak.
Read by Adrian Fisher in Sweet Little Lies by me.
Best series, best duology, and best standalone. Oh, best series. I really might have to give to Little Thieves, because that was my favorite of the year. Like that. That one just was great. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do series Little Thieves. Best duology? Oh, that one's kind of tricky. Cause I had that one. How many duologies did I read again? Oh, I'm also gonna put the Atlas series for best series because I really enjoyed those as well. I think I might put The Other Side of the Sky for the best duology. I read that at the very beginning of the year and I did enjoy it a lot. And now best standalone. Oh, that one's tough. Oh. The Book of Doors was really good. I think I'm gonna put The Book of Doors. If none of you have read that, I do recommend reading it. My boyfriend read it for me for my birthday. Like, he annotated all throughout it and then I read it and it was really great. That, and I'm pretty sure that was this author's debut novel. It was really good. It is adult. The villain, probably one of the best villains I've read in a really long time, because you hate her so much. That was a great book. That was a great book. And now it's all filled in. Ta-da! There is a whole other area that I can fill in for stuff. But oh my goodness, there's so many books that I read this year that I'm like, oh yeah, I read that. But I just don't remember. And I haven't mentioned the Lunar Chronicle series. I did also really enjoy that series, but I don't think it was my favorite from the year. Just, it was very good though. Like, it was very, like, I see the author's other books in the bookstores and I'm like, oh, I want to pick this up. But it seems like there's so much of a world in her books, so I don't want to overly commit to that world, if that makes sense. But I think that will be the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was just kind of me sitting here and talking about books that I read, which, hey, I enjoyed it. But let me know what other videos of content you would like to see in the upcoming new year. I will obviously be doing reading vlogs. If you would like to know any of the books that I plan on reading next year, I'll probably have more information about that on my book club and with my book club. I don't really know, because if there's certain books you guys want me to make a reading vlog on, it's kind of hard to be like, I'm planning to read this book in this month, and not, like, I don't know where to put that. So maybe you could follow me on my story graph. It's just Eirelynbird, I believe. But yeah, oh my gosh, this year's done. I plan on probably starting my first read of the new year within this next week, just because I kind of want to read. So even though I'm done reading this year, I will still be reading for the next year, and it won't count for a read until next year, if that made any sense. But yes, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you have any reading recommendations and what you thought of this video, as well as what type of videos you maybe want to see me make in the new year with book content. Who knows? But yeah. Goodbye! Subscribe! Give me a thumbs up! See you all in my next video!